Ladies and gents, welcome back. Our federal government has never been shy about spending our money, especially the Trudeau government. They're racking up the highest debts that have ever been racked up by an administration in our country. Now, you think that they would get to some of the things that are, their prime directive, maybe our defense, our national defense, and maybe our military. But embarrassingly so, no, they have not been. And in fact, we have soldiers overseas that are having to buy their own equipment. And we have this tweet here from Senator Lee Hausakos saying, this is absolutely shameful. An embarrassing gear shortage has Canadian troops in Latvia buying their own helmets. And this is an article published by CBC News, the ones who usually try to make the government look good, but this just does not. And while they cannot. An embarrassing gear shortages has Canadian troops in Latvia buying their own helmets. There's a phrase soldiers use to describe equipment they've bought themselves to augment what the army gives them. They call that Gucci gear, after the luxurious fashion designer. For Canadian troops deployed in Latvia, those private purchases have been decidedly more practical than luxurious, given the fact that they're taking part in more live fire training exercises meant to deter Russians from setting foot on the Baltic country. They've been buying their own modern ballistic helmets equipped with built-in hearing protection that doubles as a headset. They've also personally purchased rain gear and vests and belts to carry water and ammunition, and the number of complaints about the ill-fitting body armor issued to female soldiers has been growing. These purchases, usually made through online retailers, involve brand name tactical gear or weapon accessories that make soldiers' existing gear more personal or more comfortable to wear. But this isn't the case in this situation. It's not just about comfort. It's not just about looking good or anything like that. It's about the Canadian government is not buying this equipment for our soldiers. Canadian troops in Latvia are grappling with more urgent equipment shortages as well. The battle group is roughly 1,500 soldiers, include more than 700 Canadians, lacks modern anti-tank weapons, systems to counter drones, and dedicated short-range defense systems to guard against helicopter and jet attacks. Those frustrations have only been compounded by the arrival of more allied troops, among them Danish soldiers, who are in some cases arriving with Canadian-purchased gear that makes them better equipped than Canadian soldiers. That's right. They're using Canadian-made gear made here in Canada, that somehow our soldiers are not able to obtain. In general, it was concerning, verging on embarrassing to see the difference in issued soldiers' equipment between us and the Danes, said Lieutenant Colonel Jesse Van Eyck, the Canadian Battle Group commander in Latvia, on May 12th, 2023. Email obtained by CBC News. This was only exacerbated by the fact that they were carrying more advanced Canadian-made Colt Canada rifles mounted with advanced Canadian Elcon DR sights, and the fact that most of these systems our soldiers lacked were easily available in the open market and not some sort of closely guarded technology. And this is just absolutely embarrassing. Where's all this money going that we have increases in taxes all over the place in Canada? We've never spent more money in taxes as a Canadian populace than today. Where's all our money going? True North are also reporting on this story here. The soldiers have been forced to buy upgraded helmets with built-in hearing protection and headsets from online retailers while training abroad. They also had to acquire their own rain gear, tactical vests, and ammunition in the same way. It's absolutely embarrassing. The private purchase reflect the frustration of the soldiers with outdated and inadequate equipment that they have been given by the Army. Some of the gear, such as the CG 634 helmets, date back to the 1990s and does not meet the current standards of ballistic protection or ergonomics. But hey, whatever, says the Trudeau government when it comes to our soldiers. Now, what is some of this money going towards? What are we spending our tax dollars on instead of our Canadian troops abroad trying to keep them safe. Well, hey, let's just have a look. The Governor General of Canada, Mary Simon, in 16-month period, billed Canadian tax dollars $37,500 for clothing. Hey, and Blacklock's report gave a breakdown of the purchases there. We also have Stellantis EV battery plant could cost Canadians $19 billion in subsidies. Why? They were going to make it themselves. Why did they back out of the deal? Why did they decide they need all this money from the federal government? Oh, yeah, that's because the federal government also promised they were going to give Volkswagen a bunch of money. Yeah, Canadian government are giving Volkswagen $13 billion to build a $7 billion plant, the single largest transfer of public dollars to private businesses in Canadian history. Amazing. Wow, all of our money is going towards this. Maybe this is why we can't afford to buy equipment for our soldiers abroad. And well, Franco Terrazzano of the Taxpayers Federation breaks down just how crazy some of the things that our Canadian tax dollars are going towards.
Let's go through some of the craziest examples of wasteful spending from the Mission Cultural Fund. There was $12,500 for senior citizens in other countries to talk about their sex lives. Yeah, the federal government was outsourcing old people's sex stories. Your tax dollars paid for seniors in Australia, Austria, and Taiwan to recount their first time, best time, worst time, and last time in front of live audiences. There was also $8,800 for a sex toy show in Germany. The name of the show? Whose Jizz Is This? Then there was also $51,000 spent on a red carpet photo exhibit for Canadian rock star Bryan Adams. And $10,000 was also spent to help famous author Margaret Atwood promote her book in Australia.
She needs that too, right?
And of course, we can't forget about the thousands of dollars that was spent flying chefs all around the world. Now, canceling the Mission Cultural Fund, that's a big win for taxpayers and is something that the Canadian Taxpayers Federation has been pushing for years. But we gotta stay diligent, folks, because if there's one thing that this government is great at, it's wasting your money.
Absolutely.
So we need to keep an eye on these bureaucrats to make sure that the money that used to be spent through the Mission Cultural Fund isn't just going to be spent in another slush fund.
Yeah, and the Taxpayer Federation is a great start to that, and they're doing a fantastic job. Go give him a follow. I'll leave a link in the description down below so you guys can go check him out. Check out the Taxpayers Federation and follow them. But when being grilled about what are we going to do, how much money are we spending just even on the deficit? The deficit being how much we're adding to our debt. How much money are we spending on that? Chrystia Freeland couldn't give a straight answer.
Tell the committee and Canadians how much we're spending or projected to spend on interest on the debt this upcoming fiscal year. Just looking for the number.
Let me just say, because I think it's important to put things in context, that in both...
Minister, my time is very limited. I'm asking if you know the number. You have a lot of officials beside you.
Numbers are pretty contextual.
Will you tell Canadians how much we're going to spend on servicing the debt next year?
Here's what I think, that it's really important to put numbers in context. Without context, numbers are meaningless. Our debt service charges are low in Canada's historical context, and they are low compared to what our peers in the G7
Thank you for the
paying.
context. What's the gross dollar value we're going to spend on interest
What's the
on
number,
the debt
lady?
next year?
And let me again, I really am opposed to fiscal fear-mongering by the conservatives.
Fear-mongering.
And so the important point to make
Fiscal
for
fear-mongering.
Canadians is that in historic context, our debt service charges are reasonable and sustainable,
respectfully,
and
Minister,
lower than they have been in many previous years.
Reasonable. This is the lady that says that paying for your Disney Plus is unreasonable and that you need to cancel that in order to pay for all the money that's going to Ukraine instead of to our soldiers to buy equipment in Canada. But hey, this is where we're at with this. The Canadian government not willing to put money, Canadian taxpayer dollars, where it's important. We've seen this over and over again with the helmets being purchased by soldiers just so that they can have modern ballistic technology, modern ergonomics. We've also seen the government's unwillingness to help out in Nova Scotia and the Maritime provinces when Hurricane Fiona came in, only saying that they'll match Canadian dollars that are donated personally. That's if you open up your own wallet. No. None of that money that is taken from us for these rainy day funds, apparently, that we were told that it's supposed to be for. It's to help out Canadians in need. No. That money's not available. Why? Because it's being spent on frivolous things all over the world, not even just in our country, and given to foreign global conglomerate companies to line the bank accounts, essentially, of the CEOs of these companies as they get record windfall profits. But hey, that's just my 2 cents. Hey, what do you think about this whole scenario about, the Canadian military not getting enough equipment and the taxpayer dollars not going towards that, but going towards other things? Please leave a comment in the comment section down below, and we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.